According to the study report, that means 93% of the children who had their early childhood education, the primary age, the middle school, high school, higher secondary, graduation, and got a lot of skill and knowledge, but not with the employability skills. Now, what are the skills that a normal parent, average parent, looking when he or she enroll a child in a school? Mostly 4 skills. Cognitive skill, which is training the child with critical thinking, decision making; social emotional skill, that interpersonal collaborative skills; and the life skills, the most important thing that make you and me sitting here to lead our life in a profession, in our society, the life skill, self-management, self-discipline, time management, everything that need for us to lead a beautiful life. Then comes the last one, that is academic skill, which speak about literacy, numeracy, like, all other things, general awareness, all other things. But our system is just ulta, focusing first with the literacy and numeracy, forgetting the life skill, social skill, emotional skill, and cognitive development skill. It's almost like, for me, Malayalam is my mother tongue. And English has become my medium of instruction when I joined school. How did I learn Malayalam? I learned Malayalam without any effort when I was inside the uterus of my mummy. At my age of 6 months inside, I started listening. Even when I came out to this beautiful world, I have been listening. And the first 18 months of my life, I didn't even know how to read, how to speak, how to write. I have been keep listening. And I imitated the mouth movement of the adult members in my family, and people called it my mother tongue. And I didn't have a tuition teacher, no worksheet, no assessment, no parent-teacher meeting to learn my mother tongue. When I went to the school, yet another new language introduced, there everything just came the other way around. Listening has become the last, writing becomes the first, and I developed fear. Similarly, like when we have the skills that is expected from the school to give, it is not always about the academic skill, it is not always about the literacy and numeracy. There are quite a lot of things. What are the major hurdles for children to develop their personality development with these 4 skills? The most major hurdle they face is excessive screen time, the topic of the day. This world is facing the excessive screen time because of the lots of visuals and auditory and mental functions. Their cognitive overload is happening inside the brain. Cognitive overload, and the child is struggle to focus on academic things, and which also indirectly reduces the outdoor activity, the physical education, the health and physical education, all that recommend the child to have 1 period a day in a school nowadays, according to the decision of the central government. And the outdoor activity has been tremendously reduced. And the child has been given academic system a kind of workload with note writing, classwork, and homework, and assessment-based examination, without focusing on the natural learning, the way we learned our mother tongue. And it becomes so mechanical. So it gives another stress for us, a hurdle that is called over-structured schedules. That gives a lot of stress to the children. Next one is lack of hands-on experiential activity. Or we call it like, the learning preference, VARK, visual learners, auditory learners, reading and writing learners, bodily kinesthetic learners. Main focus of our Indian education has distorted to the R part, reading and writing, which gives very less hands-on experiential to the children. Other hurdle, the 5th hurdle that the child faces is, anyway, on each topic, our other speakers will be elaborating. I will quickly go and finish in a couple of minutes time, is the inadequate sleep that has occurred due to this overload in the cognitive brain. Now, what is the solution? Everything, balance and moderation is the key. The parents, the educators, born and brought up in an era when there was no phone, no internet. Actually, we do not have the complete right to say the new generation children, you should not use all these things. And because they have been They have been the natives of digital, and we have been immigrants to the digital world. So that gap we should keep in mind. There is a lot of chance. As a principal, I know that many of you educators would agree. As a principal, I get to hear from parents like, sir, my child is calling me black and white world, outdated generation. You need to update. This is because they believe we have been immigrants to the digital world and they have been native to that. So keeping a phone in hand, if we tell children not to use it, the fundamental child psychology is missing. Listen this point very, very carefully. Take a deep breath and listen once very clearly. Children are not wired and fired to listen to instruction and obey the instruction. They have not been fired like that. No, any animal in the world is wired and fired like that. Children are wired and fired to observe and imitate, not listen and obey. So when I observe and imitate the mummy and papa who are busy with the gadget, how will I listen to your instruction and obey, which is not wired into me? Very fundamental, very strong. If you want, I can repeat what I said once again. So this is what I meant to say. Hurdles, we already know. What are the hurdles? Excessive screen time, cognitive overload, limited outdoor activities, over-structured, stressful, schedule for the children to pick up every day, face 5 to 7 to 8 to 9 teachers every single day from nursery till 12th till graduation and post-graduation, and one second. So this is so I would like to conclude by telling that we have been talking about the beginning and the middle of the program. The end is with the proper awareness given to our parents on a regular basis, moving from low awareness parents to average awareness parents to high awareness parents. What is high awareness parents? With the children of the high awareness parents repeatedly surveyed and studied and reported that they have high emotional, social, cognitive development, strong family bonding, very good at relationship management, academic skill is amazing, and they handle stress very fruitfully, and they handle anxiety very well. I just to go to the low awareness parent so that you will understand what is the average easily. Children are reported to be moody. They indulge in malpractices. Cognitive function is very less. Less support, because of less support system at home, they have behavioral issues, which is the nightmare for all academicians and educators. Academic issues. I have a habit of calling parents during the parent-teacher meeting, keeping all the underachievers or low performers on my table and directly talking to them. And academic issues, emotional health issues, very, very bad situation with the relationship management, aggressive behavior, and even it goes to the extent of substance uses. Now, middle, that who is in the middle? I know a little bit, not that much. You can just now average the whole thing I already told. So this is the whole thing. And if I just conclude by telling that our mind engage in action which gives me happiness. When I engage in that happiness, I get a hormone here called dopamine, which gives me pleasure, which removes my stress. Do you think I will engage myself in any activity that will add pressure and not giving me any pleasure? I will not. No human will do that. So if I engage with the machines like a phone or tab or maybe other electronic devices, that gives me, that action gives me happiness with the help of the dopamine, and next time I am even more encouraged to do it. Got the point, right? Even more engaged to do that. So action leads to bigger action. It leads to repeated action is equal to habit. What is the spelling of habit? H-A-B-I-T. Remove H, you will see a bit of it still there. Remove A, bit of it still there. Remove B, it is still there. Once the action rudimentarily become a stronghold habit in our brain, very difficult to unlearn because it gives me pleasure. So what is the secret here? From the beginning itself, control from the beginning itself. I have faced a lot of case studies in my life when the parent gives the phone and when the child goes to 10th and 12th, the parent confiscates the phone, child falls into deep depression, and it is very difficult even for psychological people to counsel. That is a crime because you indulge that action into big action to habit, and now you are suddenly taking it out. It's really not good. So from the beginning itself, have the control, be moderate, and if you have a watching system, from the beginning, make the children to understand the do's and the don'ts of it, because that will become their action and repeated action and habit. So they would have been by then parented very well. There is no issue for you to handle thereafter. So the secret is from the beginning itself, before the action becomes the habit, you need to intervene. That time you shouldn't be casual telling that I am busy with my 9 to 5. Thank you so much for listening. We will take any question at the end after all the speakers are taking you forward. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That was a wonderful session. I request Dr. Sonam to take over and proceed from there.
Hi, am I audible?
Yeah, yes.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much, everyone, for the kind introduction, especially Mr. Kochi. And I'm so happy that I've been invited here to speak today. For me, it's an honor to be here because of the topic, especially. The reason being that in my practice, on a daily basis, this is the topic that we touch in and out again and again and again with parents, with children, because neurodevelopmental disorders are growing, and they're growing at a speed of 10% each year. And as school, you must be knowing that you see the students increasing every year who talk about, ADHD, learning disorders, ASD, etc. So we'll talk a little bit about that. I'd like to share a screen before I start off. So if you look at the screen today, I mean, whatever you're seeing right now with this little girl with her mom and dad,
Ma'am, you can make it full screen. You can make it full screen.
For me, it says full screen.
Anyway, but it's visible. No problem.
Okay. Okay, you're able to see the video move. Is the motion on?
No, it can't. It is static.
Okay. To me, it says it's moving.
Probably you would have shown it moving.
Is it okay?
Not really. Ma'am, you would have shared only the PPT screen. The presentation screen haven't been shared. You put in the share, then share your window. Go to the share your screen, go to window and click, it will play. Yeah, stop sharing now.
Okay.
Then go to the arrow share. Yes.
Okay.
Then share screen.
Yes.
Then go to window. There is an option. Go to the next scene. There's a window. Click on the window. What you want to play. Keep the PPT open. It will play.
That's what I did earlier. Okay. Is it okay now?
We can see, but I doubt the video will play. Anyway, you can explain that.
Okay. All right. You're able to see the video move now? It's moving.
It's moving.
It's moving. Okay. So I'm not doing anything else. All right. So just look at this little video, the parents and this child. Look at the child's expressions. A lot of this was right now covered by Dr. Swaminathan. He spoke about a lot of things, about experiences, about dopamine, happy hormone, etc. Just look at this child. There is a sense of happiness. There is a sense of fear which gets overcome because there's trust that you see. So she sees her mouth opens up. She feels like, okay, she might fall, but then her parents are there, right? So this is a typical experience that one child would go through in just 2 to 3 minutes of quality that the parents would, give. But now, today, where we are, typically this is the families that we see. If you can see the second picture, is the screen, is it seen?
Yeah.
All right. So look at the two children here and how different are they from the first child. They have static expressions. Mother is busy with the mobile. Father is also showing something. There are so many elements of the development, like Dr. Swaminathan was saying, the cognitive development, the psychosocial development, a lot of things get missed here. This is something that, in the hospital, today we call this childhood 2.0. And this is basically divided between pre-COVID and post-COVID. COVID was just I would say, accelerating factor, but things have even changed before that. After COVID, we have seen that, children have become very, very different because digital is one reason which has completely changed how children used to be before and how they have become today. We call this childhood 2.0. In fact, there's a very beautiful documentary on this called Childhood 2.0, which is done by neuropsychologists, worth watching, which tells you how things change. Touching upon what was already told, now, as a neuropsychologist, I would look at development as physical first. When the child is, born, you're learning your motor skills, you're learning your basic mental coordination with the motor, and then you go into a lot of cognitive development, further development to psychosocial development. Now, let's take a moment and go back into how our childhood was. So I'm going to explain this entire movement of physical, cognitive, and psychosocial with one small example. If you go back into your childhood, think about how your mother or your grandmother fed you, plate of food. So there was some rice that was given. The mother would have, made the child take the thing, showed the Chanda Mama or the Ambali Mama and said, okay, look up, look at this thing, take this little thing, eat. Okay, and then would probably say, okay, go run and come back and I'll give you another one. So that was where the child is getting interactively involved. In this moment, the child is also thinking that, okay, Amma is talking about something. Amma is asking me to look at something. Amma is, we are having an interactive conversation. There were times where she would say, okay, this thing is for you. This is for your Amma. This share is for your brother. So just in this little example, you would see that, the mother is also teaching the child that there is empathy, there is sharing. They're talking about relationships. There's so many things that just gets involved in just this little thing of, feeding the child the food. We all come from this time of the age where our parents would mostly give us outdoor play. They would send us out, most of the time. We would have bedtime stories. We would be talking to people. All of this today has been snatched away from children, and the reason being digital. As a psychologist, when the mother is feeding today, that I have noticed, usually during the eating time, the mother or primary caretaker, I'm not blaming a mother here, but usually the primary caretaker would land up giving a tablet or a mobile. It's like a pacifier that the child has today, even during eating. Okay, so this is a very, very small example, but this actually translates into much, much bigger challenges that we see in children. As a psychologist, we've been seeing, a lot of issues right from 1 to 2 years. During the age 1 to 2 years, we've seen a lot of complaints on speech delays, social anxiety. A child does not want to go to anybody else. Immediately would start crying when they see anyone except for the mother or the father. The child, say by age 2 or 4, you see the anxiety going up. You see that there are the speech delays sometimes have issues with clarity of speech. The way they're talking is very mimicked by, say, a Doraemon talking or a Peppa Pig talking. They don't have their own originality, which would have probably come from their parents or their cousins or, the regular growing peer environment. Hyperactivity is something that we see. Virtual autism, I will talk about it later when we move forward. But this is typically the autism, which is not because of the neurodevelopmental issue, but because of extreme exposure to the screen that the child has been doing. And they typically mimic what a child with autism would be, where they have repetitive behaviors, they have lower communication, they don't have any social intelligence, they can't mingle with other children. Then as you move to the group 5 to 8, you would see attention span completely crashing. If attention span crashes, you know that the child cannot sit down and study. The child cannot pay attention on, subjects like maths, because it needs a lot of mental activity there. We have seen a lot of hyperactivity going up. So ADHD is one of the very, very common complaints that we see today. Learning disorders, eating disorders, because this child has been just eating with the tablet. They're not mindfully been eating. They don't know what they're eating. Things just go into their mouth and they, that's how they grow up. You would see all these issues slowly becoming bigger. It's like a devil was growing and growing and growing. And later during the teen, we see very, very difficult temperament challenges. Depression coming early. Depression today, ICMR research study that we recently published said that we have depression, 12% of the Indian children start showing depression right from age 9 to 14. So that is something that we see. Sleep issues have become so common. Children have emotional reactivity. They would react immediately. Tolerance to stress is absolutely not there. Suicides are increasing in the adolescent age now. So, I mean, imagine if there is just, if all that we give to the child is experiences, is talking, is people time, is actual life experiences and not the digital, so many things can actually be avoided. Whatever I've just told is just touching, the surface on the top, but when you look at cases, it is tough, not just as a mother, but also as a psychologist on a daily basis. It is tough. So with this, I will, end it here and we'll go forward and see how it shapes up further. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Sonam. It was really nice, very intriguing and very engaging presentation. And think the people who is watching can put your questions in QA or charts. We can in between them. Meantime, I invite Dr. Meera Abhimanyu to take over the session.
Thank you, Kochi sir. Thank you so much. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah. So, very good morning to everybody here. I'm really so happy and privileged to be given this opportunity to be a part of this initiative where, being a speaker for this particular topic, which is, yes, one of the most relevant topics when it comes to parenting and also something that the school faces. So being an educationist for the last, I would say 15 years, after which I took to psychology. I've been in the field of being a teacher, principal, and now a psychologist. So I really know, I have an experience of how this has been from the time, from the time that we have been children to being an educator and to now finally handling cases when it is severe. So as, Dr. Kochi and Dr. Sonam put it very well, being the third speaker, I would just like to share, I'll just share my screen. We will just look at some simple issues that we normally see in this digital age of addiction. And at the same time, so we're just going to look at the reasons why children actually get into addiction, as we all know, especially post-COVID, since even the teaching learning process. Thank you so much. Yes. So I think the screen, yeah. So basically, we're just going to look at navigating digital addiction in children. So as you can see in the screen, there was a time when, we as mothers or the primary caregiver used to actually engage the child in a lot of activities at home, especially in the absence of the mobile or in the pre-digital era. But today it's actually a different scenario because we have
not audible.
Right. So we'll just quickly go through, since we don't have much time, we'll just quickly go through how do you as a parent recognize that your child has digital addiction? So what are the particular signs that you can look for as a parent immediately to understand that there is a shift in how your child is behaving, and it can be related to digital addiction. So one is when your child's mood changes, when the child becomes very irritable, especially when you remove the device for some time and you actually pose in restrictions that was not there before. Second, yes, as we saw earlier, when the sleep is disrupted, when children do not want to sleep, they sit very late night with the gadget, and then they're not able to get up also. So when there is a lot of sleep disruption, could also be because of excessive use of gadgets. Another is, yes, a very, very important factor that we see today in almost every teenager. Almost, at least 1 in 3 teenagers will always have a social withdrawal or a social anxiety, and it's going in the high because of the screen time. So when they are digitally exposed to a gadget, there is no challenge in interacting with the gadget because it's a one-way thing, right? But when you talk to human beings, it's a totally different space. It's not a virtual space anymore. It's something which is unpredictable, and the child has to actually engage in a conversation which is very minimal compared to the screen time that the child has. So when you see that your child is not interested in going to parties or going to family functions, or even in going outside and playing with their friends more, and is more stuck, rather with the gadget, it shows that the addiction has already started in. And of course, another fourth sign is when there is an academic decline. So this could be the quick 4 signs that any parent who is sitting here can just check. You can actually start looking at these signs, whether it is actually evident in your child, be it even a small child, or even in a teenager. Especially in teenagers, it's important to check because they may close the door. They may say they want private time, they need personal space, and they may not actually allow you to see how they engage in a day in their room, especially if they are given a separate room. So this is one issue. When we give a separate room to a teenager, we do not know how they engage themselves in the day, and then we fail to notice these signs, which actually is an addiction sign. That it's actually showing that your child is very addicted to the digital world. Now let's look at what's the best way to handle this, because we need to go slow. We cannot be very abrupt in our behavior with our child because of the addiction. So it's always best to create healthy boundaries, right? So one is sit with your child, be it a teenager, especially if it's a teenager. Yes, they will. It's how to have a rapport with your teenager and sit with your child and establish certain boundaries. How can you establish certain boundaries? You can agree with your child upon how to set a special time for the gadgets and for whatever reasons. Create a device schedule. You can create a schedule, a specific time for this. You can also implement a digital curfew. That is, when you do this with your child, it's also important that you role model it as a parent. So the problem is we parents use the gadget 24/7, and then we expect our child not to use it. So I would say the best thing is to start role modeling it. The minute your child is at home and you're at home with your child, let's be very clear about how we handle our child, how we role model what is our space with our child in terms of the gadgets, and we agree with each other on how do we go about at home, and which are the timings that we will use the gadget, which are the timings that we will never use the gadget, especially when during the eating time or during time when you're sitting and watching the TV, the news, or you're discussing a particular thing. Whenever you're in a discussion, as a family, you can keep a golden rule that let's keep all the gadgets aside and then we will have a quality discussion. Otherwise, normally we see that even when you're talking to your child, you may always be switching your eyes to your gadget. And this is exactly what the child will imitate, because that's exactly what they absorb. They have a lot of value for you, but they will also then imitate exactly what you do. Even a teenager does the same thing. That's why the teenager gets back to you and, fire you back saying that you're doing the same thing. You're on the gadget the whole day. Now do you expect me not to be with the gadget? Why should I not be, exposed to the gadget? Because gadgets are not particularly bad. You cannot say that it's bad. It has got its relevance and it has to be used amicably. So that's the last point, lead by example, right? So if we can lead by example as a parent, it becomes easier for the child to just role model it rather than just we dictate terms and see them doing it where we don't actually follow the same rules. Another thing is, how do we encourage alternative activities? Because as very rightly said by Dr. Kochi, Dr. Swaminathan, is that, if we don't encourage alternative activities, and the children always need happy hormones. They need to be happy. Everybody needs to be happy. We all do whatever we do just because we want to be happy. Even children are made to study. We say that you should learn learning is a very difficult skill. It is not something that anybody can do happily, or it is done as from a space of commitment to create a good life, and it is from that space that value is given and learning is done. It's not that learning is very enjoyable unless it is made enjoyable. So when learning is made enjoyable, learning is naturally created in a child, where the child enjoys learning, then yes, it gives a dopamine effect. But otherwise, if it is just that sit and study, you have to get marks, you have to get a good job, you have to make money, and then only your life will be comfortable, or then only you will be happy. This very old conventional methodology of trying to guide children towards living a good life is something that we need to change in our parenting style. So dopamine effect is very important for every child. So if they are getting a lot of pressure from gadgets, why should they switch? They would rather learn using the gadgets. So let's encourage children to use alternative activities by actually playing with the children. I would like to ask the parents who are sitting here, how much time do you really spend in a day having one fun activity with your child, be it a teenager or be it a small child? Even with teenagers, you need to engage in wonderful games where you can also enjoy with them and create that dopamine effect, where every day let's have a quality 30-minute, 1 hour time of game time. And the game could be anything. It could be an outdoor activity, it could be an indoor activity. But then there is a lot of bonding, there is a lot of social intervention, there is a lot of talking, communication, and there is also a dopamine effect created, because it's nothing like having fun and laughing and enjoying a game together. This is something that when you implement in your family, you really get your children to be your best friends. You can really talk to them with empathy. They really listen to you, and you get them around. So be it a small child or a big child, your child is your child, and what you really do with them matters. So creative pursuits, adventures, going on a trek with them, a family game in the night, creating, if you draw very well, showing them how does it mean to draw, and engaging them in similar activities of similar interests would be a wonderful thing to switch. That doesn't mean you get them out of digital. It's just that you encourage alternative activities that will also give a dopamine effect, similar to when they are, with their gadgets. So just by stopping it doesn't work. It's important to shift them to alternative practices, which gives them equal happiness as that they get with, engaging in digital practices, in the digital screen. Yeah. Another thing is open communication strategies. What are the different ways in which you can actually communicate to your child? So one is active listening. It's important to listen to your children, because only then they will listen to you. We have a tendency to always just be very authoritative. It's like we know everything. They don't know. In fact, our children have much more higher information than us, and they may even question us many times, and we may not be able to answer their questions. So it is not about giving them a good guidance or advice. Advice and guidance is something that children, especially bigger children, do not need. They do not want to listen to you. So rather, first, being an active listener always helps in increasing the communication or strategy with them. Also, having a non-judgmental approach. Never judge your child and say that, no, I know you're doing this, I know you're this, and don't make them feel that you're judging them all the time and trying to make them wrong or right. Another thing is collaborating. If there is any problems that they're facing, be sensitive to it and share, give a hand to collaboratively work with them, rather than show a lot of entitlement being a parent. The problem is we all feel that we are entitled to advise our child. Today's children are not the yesteryear's children. We are actually very, very new parents, because we are parents of digital era, as Dr. Swaminathan said. And so it's very important to learn with our children what works for them and what works for us. So a collaborative problem-solving approach is the best way to actually work together towards creating solutions, rather than just dictating or advising your children. And finally, regularly check in with your children, have ongoing conversations with them. Always keep abrupt with what they're doing, what they're engaging in. It's not about monitoring them or policing them, but it is just about being there for them and seeing whether they're happy in whatever they're doing, or do they have a concern. And if they have a concern, talking to them from a very friendly angle, rather than being a parent, being a good friend and trying to help them solve their problems, and being a role model also in the same space. Yes. Next slide. So we are ending here. So one thing that you can do, so even when you're giving the gadget to the child and the child is using, especially smaller children, who are not adults yet or not teenagers yet, there is something called as content filters. You can always filter the unwanted contents or negative contents or contents that that children are not supposed to see at that particular age in the device that they're using, so that even if they're watching a digital content, it should be something useful and they don't get into the negative space of negative content, which can again affect their behavior, affect their thought process, and affect their cognition. Also, setting time limits. Okay, so these are the parental controls that we can leverage with our children. Something that we can always keep a check, rather than keeping on checking what they are doing and what they are seeing in the gadget. Using content filters is a very good method. Another, so that you're sure that they're not getting any content that is misappropriate. Another thing is time limits. Be very clear and agree upon time limits where for you and your child, when are you going to use the gadget, when you're not going to use the gadget. And then there is something called as activity reports. For smaller children, this works, always keeping a checklist, and giving them a reward. For small children, it's best to have a checklist of, what is the expected behavior, what is the expected timeline, and having those reports and seeing that if they do it for 1 week, you can always reward them by taking them out and giving them what they like or doing something. This is not recommended for adults, but then it's recommended for very small children, where you keep checklists with your child, and they like to do that. They like to actually, come up to that. Small children are always happy to be rewarded. So positive reinforcement really works, and making them physically tick what they've done and what they have not done, and see in a week how much they have done well in terms of your intervention with them and your expectation of them when it comes to digital addiction. Yes, and finally, last slide. So digital literacy is another important thing. See, none of us are against. None of us should be showcasing something to our children that we are against digital, digitalization, and it's a very negative thing. And there is no point saying that, because we all know how important it is in today's world. And even if they have to be the best in their workspace, they have to be very digitally sound. So digital marketing is something that every child has to learn now in order to be very efficient in their workspace. So digital literacy is what we should promote. So we should sit with our children and help our children understand how to use the digital apps, how to use the digital world appropriately, and use it at the right time for the right reason with the right person to create the right opportunities. And that's all that it takes. So balancing the use of digital gadgets and balancing life skills is all that a parent needs to realize. So it is up to the parent. I think as a parent, it's important that we also do the same thing. We need to balance how much we use our digital space across the life skills that we need to use with our children, so that they just role model us, and they also know when to keep the gadget aside and when to actually be with the family and when to engage in learning. So this requires a very systematic process of being positive about digitalization also. So when you are a very positive parent, where you don't have any problem, or you're not talking about digitalization from a very negative angle, rather you're giving a digital literacy to your children by also being digitally literate. Otherwise, you'll always be acting from a space of fear. So rather than being a parent of acting from a space of fear about digitalization, you should be digitally literate enough to handle the digital space with your children. And it is those parents who are going to be the most effective and balanced parents of the day. So I invite every parent here to be digitally literate, to actually then be with your children and give them digital literacy. Say that it's a very good thing that it is there. It makes your life very easy and you can use it to the best of your ability. But what are the do's and don'ts, and where we should not be misusing it, and how does it cause an addiction, is something that you educate your child and be with them and see through that process of they building it, rather than showing a very negative feeling towards digitalization. So this will really help in you balancing everything with your child, especially in terms of this digital addiction, because nobody can do without a digital device today. It doesn't make sense saying that you're not supposed to use the mobile. I'm not going to give you the mobile the whole day. That doesn't make sense at all. That's the last thing a parent should even think, because even you cannot do without your mobile in a day. It's going to be it looks like we're all addicted to it in some way. But if you're using it for the right reason, you're literate enough to use it for the right with the right person, for the right reasons, then it's only going to enhance your life and not going to actually bring it down. So thank you so much. In this limited time, I just thought of putting these points to all the parents, and happy parenting in this digital era. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Meera. That was a very interesting session and very informative with the presentation. I'll just to add two things what you have suggested to the parents. Along with you're finding a time, you can actually involve your children to do a lot of course at home. Like 2 to 3 years, you can ask them to throw away trash, or 4 to 5 years. Different age group we can give. For example, a teenager, 12 year and plus, you can ask them to wash your car on a Sunday, or clean the garage, or clean the cycle, or put them into some kind of activity which you do on a day-to-day basis. Especially the mothers, ask them to help them to wash the clothes, or fold the clothes, or iron the clothes, or arrange the cupboard. So a lot of course you can really involve the children into that. So thank you very much for a wonderful session. And I invite the mathematic magician to address the again.
Thank you, sir. I'll start with a simple question. According to you, how many hours does a child spend with a smartphone? Can you give me a number in the chat? On an average, chat or Q&A. It's just your estimate. 2 hours. Is it 2 hours? Anybody else? 2 to 3 hours. Parents? Okay, how much hours does an adult spend? 6 hours. Don't hit us. On an average, a child spends 4 hours. 4 hours. Can you believe this? That's what statistics says. 4 hours. This is just an average. So just time rolls on. When you start thinking, you see cartoon or something, it rolls on. There's no restriction. Yeah. Once I went to a shop, there's a father and a kid. One person was drinking fruity, fruity or maza in a Tetra Pak. On seeing that, the child is asking, "Get me one, get me one." The father is scolding, "What do you want? Just now you had milk." But the child was insisting, the kid was insisting, therefore, the father got one and he took this straw, he pierced it, and he gave it to the child. The child refused to take it. Said, "I don't want." The father is angry. "You asked, I got it for you. Now you're saying I don't want." Actually, the child did not want maza or fruity. He wanted this Tetra Pak and he wanted to pierce it. He doesn't want this content. He wanted to pierce it. That is a joy. How many of you feel that? How many of you are scared of technology? How many of you feel that we are fighting a losing war? Yeah, you can say, "Yes, I'm scared." Yes, why means you're scared? No, I'm not scared. It is not a losing war. Is it possible for us to give an experience better than what a cell phone gives? Yes or no? I want a reply from you. Parents, please tell if you can really give a tough to digital media, digital devices. You can give a better experience than a device. Yes, no? Oh my God. Possible to give better experience? Gunadeep sir says very difficult. Yes, we can. We need to put effort on that. Supposing I want to take 1 hour class, you have to take 8 hours for preparation. But when it comes to my child, that preparation time is almost zero. Correct? I'm not giving time. My brain is dried. my creativity is gone. I should become creative. Can I become creative? Can I get it from outside? Can I outsource it? I will send my child to dance class 1 hour or half an hour dance class, half an hour music class, half an hour drawing class. Like that, I'll fill up the time. But that becomes boring after some time for the child. You have to interact with them. What to do? I was thinking about that when my kid was, when my daughter was a kid. Yeah, COVID happened. I don't know what to do. I was here in Bangalore. My family was in native. I used to take small videos and send. How is this? How is that? Yeah. I used to small materials like this. See, COVID time, I used to get some eggs or something. This tray comes. I started doing math with this. She started replying. Yeah. She also recorded and said how this is happening, that is happening. I liked it. She started engaged. Yeah. When I went there, I said, we'll go out. We'll go collect stones. Yeah, something. Then what all I knew, I told this is a pebble, this is mica, all those things. She asked me what is mica. I showed from my smartphone. I showed this is mica. She got some. Then again we started collecting. I'm using the device, but we started collecting. Now she's in the 5th grade. Now she's studying about stones. So in the recently when the Father's Day happened, she took one stone. Yeah. She took one stone. This is what she did. She painted. And she said this, Dad, you rock. Small creativity. I never knew this stone, this mica stone will become this. I'm preserving it. Because of so many daily activities, she's away from cell phone. And 2 days back, she made this book on her own. It is her own. No help. She saw something from Instagram and she started making. Yeah. So many things. She did it in 1 day. Yesterday, she made some stickers. Something is happening. Yeah. Okay. She has made yesterday one. She's bringing it to me. Show this also. She's saying she's making some stickers. Her own stickers. I wanted creativity in her. 2 years, 3 years, that is the right age. You can instigate, you can start that, initiate it. Some initiation should happen, then that should go on forever. Isn't it? It should continue. You should make it roll. 2 days back, tomorrow there's a function here in our flat. She's dancing. Day before yesterday, I told her, I will also dance. I will also dance. She said, I will do better. I said, I will give tough. I will give upper tough. Yeah, it is a healthy competition. She is a child. Who am I? I am an ex-child. I will also become child. Yeah, I am going to use technology for the better, for creativity, for information, but still be safe. I want to win this war. My child, correct? I will create manipulators. So many objects are there in and around me. There's a calendar. Calendar, you're going to throw it out. I can cut the dates. Those are numbers. I can create my own calendar. I can create games with that. This dice, Indian die, 2 dice will be there, no? That she created her own game. Yeah. No interference from adults. She created, but she wants participation. She said, see, what are the possibilities? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12. She wrote it and she rolled it, and I have to roll. Who will complete it first? Very nice. Yeah. Now she is studying equally likely, probability, and so on. She is doing it before what is happening. I mean, what is taught in the classroom. I have not seen that syllabus itself. I told my wife, 1 month, 2 months back, she has done this on her own. She's creating her own games. I loved it. Yeah, correct. I think when you're going to put restriction on smartphones, they become more curious, and you cannot fight that multimedia. Bright light, bright colors, multi sound, beautiful music, entertaining. Yeah, but she cannot get certain things. I used to take her to temple. She wanted me to take her to temple every day and so on. I thought my daughter is becoming very religious and so on, but I understood that that's Lakshmi and Saraswati. Yeah, there are two cows in that, and the calf is also there in the temple. She wants to go and see that cow, touch it, give some banana. Yeah, when then that cow understood. Whenever she goes there, it will nod its head and say, "Come." Yeah, come here. So she wants to play with animals. Yeah, with a dog. She wants to touch a dog. She wants to touch a horse. She wants to lift a duck. Cell phones can't give that. Yeah. So I think beautiful things we can do when we also become a child. We have the curiosity like a child. We are able to connect dots. We are able to use things in and around us. I think it become a very healthy environment. We'll also keep ourselves away from cell phone. Yeah, there should be a substitute, no alternate. If you say don't cell phone, don't control by rules. Give an alternative. Give a better thing. That was my idea, and it really works. Yeah. So I'm not preaching. I can show you many things. It works with many children also. Many children. They don't see me. I don't want my child to see teacher as a person who instructs. I want a mentor. Yeah. To give values, to improve our creativity and so on. Yeah. So like many things. I took her to see certain things involve cost, certain things does not involve cost. Picking a stone does not involve cost. Making something available in the house, these things they remember. Cell phone, they see some in a video, they will not remember after 10 years. But this my father did, this my mother did, they will remember. I wanted that experience, longevity. So I took her to fire service, nearby fire service, fire station. There they showed many things, and she understood that fire service people, it's not only to extinguish fire, they also catch snakes. They showed the snakes which they caught, and they also bring in stray dogs which had littered. The puppies they give away and so on. Like this, they do so many things. She got educated. She went inside a fire engine and so on. So many things. So many things. She museums. So here you are going to spend a few rupees. Travel will be a next thing. I took her to radio telescope. Many things that will involve cost, but there are so many things which you can do day to day. Yeah, and still you can tell it by stories, to tell it by activities, and allow them to create their own activity, and let the knowledge get transferred from child to parent. It is so interesting. Your stress will come down of creating one and insisting that you do that. Yeah, that's it. I think it can be easily tackled, and life is so beautiful. We'll also return to our childhood. Yeah, it's a good experience. Everything is experience. Yeah. Together, we can create a beautiful world. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Prabhu. It was a wonderful session. I think we can open this session for any question or any question answer from the parents who can ask, who would like to chat with us, and we can share this thing with you. And the PPT, I think later we can share with the parents also. Our email IDs are with us, so you can ask any questions. Please, you can ask questions, and our moderators will allow you to ask. If you want to come on video, you can do that, or you can actually discuss with the chat or question answer session also. And I happened to meet a pediatrician from Sunrise Hospital in Kochi, and she was telling, I don't know how it works, but she was telling between the age group of 1.6 to 4 years, if the parent restrict phone for 3 days, the child will forget this. And if the people are completely addicted, or the child does not eat without seeing a video, so restrict the phone, don't show the phone, or give the phone to that child for 3 days. On the fourth day the child will forget about it. I'm not very sure, and many I'd seen videos in social media pages where parents are testimonial by saying that it works. Hope now a few young parents are with us, we can try that. And I had an interaction with her. She was very insisting. Tell the parents, like, keep it for 3 days. The child will forget. It is in the. It is effective in the age group from 1.6-year-old to maybe 3 to 4-year-old. Others, you have to find ways, as the sirs and the ma'ams are suggested here. And keeping them busy is something which, other than phone, engage them into other kind of activities would really help. It's an open session, Gurudev. We all can ask questions, discuss, and talk to us. We encourage parents. We also, you can ask questions. That is something which should come from you.
So whoever wants to talk, just give a thumbs up or just post it in the chat. We will allow you to speak.
Any other points? Sir, some good tricks on mathematics?
Many are there. It depends upon the age.
Maybe you can suggest something for age group from 2 to 4.
Yes, definitely. So again, you can use technology. You can Google what is that?
Miss Manisha has raised the hand. Navneet, by the time sir tells that, you can allow her to speak.
Yeah.
Ma'am, we can ask questions. It is muted. You can ask questions.
Manisha ma'am, you can unmute and you can post your question.
Ask your question.
Hi, hello. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes.
Here is my answer. So I just want to know. I'm a parent who following general parenting from the beginning of my birth of my child, and I have I didn't show him phone till 3 years, and I did not give him any kids also till 3 years. And after 3 years, when he started to go to school, he is exposed to those things. I need to show him for some time. That is because, as you guys said, this is the digital area. We cannot restrict them in all the time. So I started to show him at some time. So he knows his boundaries. And also, I always give him positive affirmations and positive things. Always want to teach him positive things. But now I just want to share what are the challenges that I am facing with this kind of parenting. So what I have observed, even though telling him all the positive things, he's for example, there are some weekly children weeklies like Kalikudaka and Badam, like that. So whenever I'm reading those stories to him, and whenever there is something like ghost stories, so he's that far. So he whenever I tell the story, after that time he got that name Ghost. So every time when he's coming to sleep, he will ask me, Ghost will come to his. So how the children is always thinking negatively. I'm saying a lot of positive things, and I'm showing him also the positive behavior in front of him. But I'm not saying that it's like that. He's always negative. I'm not saying that he has a lot of advantage of that parenting. I, I, I got the result when he started in the last PTA meeting in his school. The teacher was really surprised with his behavior. So I was also happy with my hard work. But I observed this behavior in him because the children are. Is it with only my children or all the children are like that? Why grasping negative things immediately, but for a positive behavior, we need to spend a lot of time. So I just want to know that what is that and how we can change that behavior, or is the mind of the human beings are like that to grasp negative things first? Is that the reason? I don't know.
Your voice was not that very clear. Many times the questions disappeared and your statements we heard. If you can type, it will be easy for us to reply. And we have another question in asked
Yeah,
by
sure.
one of the person, like what are the some practical low preparation activity that can keep a child engaged on a screen-free day, especially when parents are exhausted after work and grandparents may not have the energy to resource to help actively. Can anybody reply to that question? It is in the Q&A. Ma'am, you can type the question meantime. It will be easy for us to understand.
If I can quickly take this question in a psychological way, what are the some practical or preparation activities that can keep a child engaged on a screen-free day, especially when parents are exhausted after work and grandparents may not have energy or resource to help? That's quite good. So I'll just to go to the root cause of the whole thing once again, like, like we speak about giving fish or fishing. Fish is one-time meal. Fishing is lifetime meal. Like so I would like to say from the beginning, make it as a habit that the children are finding their happiness outside the device. It is not about screen-free day. Like Kochi sir was mentioning about a survey finding, which I completely agree. The wiring that is enabled because of the screen addiction and that happiness can be unwired, rewired by keeping it away for 72 hours of non-exposure. That is, especially till that age group, it works because the wiring hasn't been hardened. So I have seen in many of my things, like generally what we call digital detox and bedtime curfew and device-free zone, confiscation of device, and Wi-Fi card. All this will not be very, very effective once this wiring is already rudimentarily done. So before it, from the beginning itself, engage the children. Now, for example, I would say, in our experience, we have seen, and we have also been told by people who are almost 60 and above that, sir, I really understood the need of spending quality time with the children with the true compassion and the real patience and enough time only when I become a grandparent. Until I become grandparent, my car was riding at the 120, 140 kilometer per hour speed by telling like, I am behind so many materialistic things, my professional things, all these things. So when I got real time because of the cycle, the physical cycle in our sociological structure after retirement time, when I go back to the children, like now I have enough time to love you, they say, I am trained not to be with you. When I really wanted your care and love, you didn't give. If at all you're that dearth to give to my children, that means your grandchildren. So what do I tell here indirectly? If we have the plan to care our children, that is not when we retire and get enough time. That is now and here. And how long should we spend? 20 minutes a day, never more than that. A mother should spend 20 minutes with one child, and if they have two children, another 20 minutes with another child. Father should separately find 20 minutes with one child, another 20 minutes with the other child. That is more than enough. Eye to eye, heart to heart, direct communication. One secret thing I will tell you, what I do in my life with my children, by heart the name of all classmates, especially the close friends. And every day in that 20 minutes, maybe the time when you unlace your shoe or quickly biting your evening snacks, or maybe ready with your remote control, but ask about their friends and have emotional engaging time. Active listening. The law preparation activities, active listening and empathetic response. They can talk regularly and their little concern on a promptly address their concerns, make them feel important. And if they find the best friend of them in their papa and mommy, they do not want to divide, they do not want another friend outside. This is fundamental psychology. So I just thought I'll address this point. Thank you.
Sir, you were asking some low preparation activities. So one thing, we can encourage children when you come exhausted, you're coming back home. Maybe you can ask them do some fireless cooking for you, making a sandwich or a lime juice for you, which will keep them engaged. The children who is really interested in cooking and other kind of activity, if they put into that job, and I'm sure they will able to really, that is something which immediately give a refreshing thing for you, as well as you can also put them on work if they are interested. Or you can actually involve them into any kind of, I was suggesting earlier also, putting them to some course which you want to do after coming back from your office. You can assign them to do that depending on the age parameter. Maybe I will share one slide at that point of time, or we'll mail you this, that you can give a very small activity which can be found inside home itself. That is something I personally suggest. Anything else Sonam and Meera or Prabhu sir can suggest is something is very
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
what I would
There are
add,
few questions posted in the chat which is not visible. Naveen, can you read out?
It is what are some practical low preparation activities that can keep a child engaged for a screen-free day, especially when parents are exhausted after work or grandparents may not have the energy or resources. That is the question asked in Q&A.
Yeah, so I know what I would like to add here is, see, it depends on the age of the child, right? So if your child is very small, then yes, you will have to prepare the activity. You will have to think about some activities that you can engage, because they're not in a position to take responsibility of how they spend the day. Now, so there, an active participation of the parent is important. So I personally feel it is important that you connect with your child. You only get time to connect with your child after you're back from work. So the best thing is to be mindful of when you're back from work, take some time out for yourself, relax, take a bath or take a shower, just rejuvenate yourself, and then do, as Dr. Swaminathan said, do connect to your children, because that's the only time you get with your children. So 20-30 minutes, being at least even having a very friendly talk with your child is an activity for them, for a small child. For a small child, that's a great activity. And you can even connect to your child. Now, for bigger children, it becomes important to also give them the responsibility to look at how they like to spend the day every day, and make them feel that it is also their accountability to understand how they engage themselves productively, happily, rather than the parent having to always, figure out activities. An 8th grader, 7th grader, 9th grader need not be given an activity. They are big enough, they are wise enough, and they can be creative enough to look at how they productively spend their time when they are free or when they are back from school. How do they spend the day in different things? So it is about only engaging them to speak with you as to realize how they can spend their time productively. You can involve in it, or you can just guide them towards it. It's not your complete responsibility to always figure out what activity to give your child every day. That is, every human being should take the responsibility of handling their own life at a certain point. So it is about giving that independence to them, that they are independently, they have the right to independently think what's best for them and engage themselves to be productive for themselves. So that is when they're going to be self-resilient, they're going to be self-aware of as to how to take decisions in life and create schedules that's going to be, good for them, rather than the parent always giving guidance till they are there with the parent. So switching that job to them, but then yes, intervening it correctly where they feel they also feel that they're taking leadership in their own activities is a great thing to do, right? Okay. Thank you.
Sir, Prabhu sir, you can use. So in the meantime, Sonam ma'am, you can look at the third question. Coming, we can prepare the answer. Meantime, Prabhu sir explain this. Yeah.
Mr. Santosh Vasan has sent a question, and Yamini also.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. So we don't wait for opportunities. Whenever there is opportunity, we pick it up. I'll give you some examples. Today morning, my daughter, she said she's going to some school, dance school. She said, last night I made a ball, so bouncing ball, and she just showed me how it bounces. I immediately asked, just tell me how many times it bounced before it settled. That was a small activity. Yesterday, my wife did puris. Yeah, puris are circle type, and this was lengthy type. It automatically turns. Yeah, and she saw that. I asked her how, what is the reason it self turns. You can Google and see how it is made. Self turning puris. You need not take the puri and take it. These opportunities are coming on the way. You don't wait for it. When it comes, you just take it. Now, if the question is what are the low preparation activities, if you have time, you could have cut many small pictures from the newspaper or magazine and have it in a box like this, and give it to the child and say, sequence it in such a way that you tell me a story out of it. Yeah. Then you can say that you're told that you're exhausted. Yeah, you can tell that I'm exhausted. Can I have some? Can you teach me some exercise to rejuvenate? Something you can get it from the child itself. There are so many things you can do. That is things. You don't wait for opportunity to come. You take it. You should be tuned to that. That's it.
Sonam ma'am, can you advise on how to deal with the disagreement with two siblings in the same household?
Yes.
And
yes.
two kids poles apart in nature and have a different choices. When they fight for one item, the parent is confused how to make peace between them.
Yes, this is by Yamini. I understand it's, dealing with disagreement between siblings can be extremely challenging, especially, when they are completely different from each other. But what you could do is that, one thing that really works is setting very clear rules for sharing. Establish very simple rules like, take turns or set a timer for shared items. What works when we do behavioral therapy, something that we teach in sibling rivalry, is sharing agreement, where both kids know what is expected when disputes arise. If this is what is done, this is what would happen. So sharing agreement. This is how much time that I can use this. This is how much I should not use. Instead of jumping in and getting involved in between them, you could probably ask them to come up with a solution together. For example, you could mediate it, saying, how can we make sure that you both get a turn? Let them speak. Let them think for themselves. And when they actually solve a conflict, praise their effort. When they've independently decided on coming on to a conclusion, praise them. Say how you thought through it. Now you're being responsible. You're doing this well. So try and give them those positive affirmations, which would make their behavior more strengthened. Somewhere one of the speakers did say that strengthening of the behavior, the firing that happens. So when you praise them and they understand that they're doing well, this starts, the whole neural pathway starts forming, and they get this whole happy hormone. They feel proud of themselves. It's like a reward that they get when the parent is also giving them positive affirmations and watching them. So that is something that you could do. You could offer neutral alternatives also if nothing is, solving. If one item is causing fights, redirect their attention to similar or maybe an equally enjoyable alternative that they could do. So that is something you could look at doing. Taking ownership is something also, which is something you should encourage in the child, for assign an ownership of the items on different days. Say, one child gets something on Monday and then the other child gets something on Tuesday. I mean, that is, you want to go a little deeper and nothing is happening. Also validate their feelings, tell them that I understand you both want this toy. It's hard to share sometimes. However, let them think more, let them empathize with each other. This is something that I think would help.
Kochi sir, if I can take just 1 minute to address this, sibling rivalry. I have handled this sibling rivalry cases, quite a few in my past experience. One very rigid case when I have studied almost for 3 to almost 4 months to identify why that boy has been extremely naughty and problem making in the home, and especially when teachers report that we are going to intimate this, even a little bit infatuation stories, all this thing, we are going to intimate this to the parent. The child was very happy. So I was studying about why the child is happy when we are reporting to the parent. Child wants the parents to be unhappy by the report. Later on in the detailed counseling with the child, I came to know Mummy was his best friend until the younger sibling visited the planet Earth. He felt that his best friend is confiscated by his sibling brother. That he kept for 10 to 12 years. That is what we were just studying and spoke to the mummy later on. So what I meant to say, sharing the parents, who will get more love, more care. I have been getting the complete princely, or princess-like life until you come. Now you see the complete attention has gone to you. This is the root cause for sibling rivalry. By mistake, on top of that, to add a little more issue, salt to the wound, we also by mistake compare, that comparison further cement his belief, yeah, I told now, yeah, this is the thing. So this comparison by the parent or maybe any other adult member at home, on top of the feeling that my parents or my mother, mostly I have seen it as mother. My mother has been shared by this guy or completely taken by this guy. And this guy or this girl. And on top of that, comparison comes. Third element is by default, grandmother, grandpa, mommy all say, aren't you the eldest one? Shouldn't you care? Shouldn't you share? And this makes the little one to feel, I'm just 3.5-year-old and they are considering me like a little father, little mommy responsibility. Where is my childhood? This is the thing. So the solution, what is the solution for them? You need to individually give time to the children, not always together. Individually listen to them and create a personal bonding. And keep some consequence. If you break the rule, this is going to happen. Don't fight like that. Consequence should be very, very consistent. Wire into their brain, if you do like that, this is going to happen. Gradually, they will retard from that. Okay. And next one is, instead of buying toy car, which can be used separately by 2 children, why can't we buy a carrots or a chess which can be shared? So shared spaces, shared toys, shared fun, shared like a sport visit, weekend visit, all that. We should create shared situation than acting like a separatist in the middle. The last point is, from the beginning, develop empathy to everything. It's not like you need to be empathy to your parents and your sibling. It will not work. That is a sectionarian psychology. It will not work. Everything in the world, every non-living, living things, animals, human being, plants, all need your forgiveness, your empathy. Create that fundamental culture in the child's growing. That will be the panacea, ultimate cure for this. This is to address the sibling rivalry. The previous question, I'll just take it less than 30 seconds to just say, in a school when I was working as principal in Hyderabad, we do get a lot of admission from the neighborhood school. Most of them, the problem makers of that school, may be given TC or parents are too tired of the complaints. Come to the school where I was working, and something, in that 12.5 acre campus with 3,000 students, 288 teachers, we had 46 teachers only for sports and visual performing arts. Now, what is the story here? Story is, child is getting addicted to some bad behavior, de-addict it and get addicted to sports. So get addicted to sports was the philosophy that we use to move the child from something antisocial to pro-child-friendly program. Thank you.
There is one more question and one hand raised. We need to address that. Then we will come to a conclusion of this webinar. We have teens who are on 7th and due to our work and social regimes, we are unable to restrict gadgets. More peer pressure. That means using gadget is more peer pressure. Maybe his relatives or friend. That is something anybody can suggest very quickly. And we have to also give a chance to speak to Hema who raised the hand. Yeah, please. Anybody want to address that? Due to our work and social regime and peer pressure, gadget addiction, any suggestion for to reduce the peer pressure?
Yeah, I mean, so what Santosh I think is trying to say is that there is this uncontrolled peers when your friends keep on chatting on WhatsApp and keep on chatting on Snapchat, and there is this continuous conversation that happens. The child gets addicted to always wanting to respond to their friends, and then this gadget time becomes very huge, and and the parents are not able to restrict because they are trying to socially interact with their friends. So the best solution for this is actually to switch from giving that opportunity to the friends, and rather you involving in a conversation with your children and you creating a better bond with your children, where after they are home and when you are also home, you engage in activities with your child. Just like how just the same things that was told earlier. It's always wonderful if we understand that due to your work and social regimes you are busy, but then there should be these acceptances and non-acceptances. What is accepted? What is accepted as a family? Also giving children the understanding that they are part of a family, and it is not that they are separate from you. And what, as a family, what is agreeable and what is not agreeable, what is accepted, what is not accepted, what are the times, how to manage time, how do you manage your time, and how do you help your children manage your time. So for everything, there is a time, right? So allowing children to always follow a time management schedule where there is a particular time where they can interact with their peers on the gadget, and the remaining time has to be made productive. So it is how you help your child streamline the time that they use. So here it is about time management. You can help and sit with your children and discuss with your children what is the time that can be allotted where they are engaging with their peers online, and what is the remaining time, how do they engage with you, and the remaining time, how do they engage in their own activities, homework, and household chores. Like how Kochi sir said, what is their role as a child? It's not about they being with their friends or they being outside. It is their role as a son or a daughter. It's very important to get your children realize that as a family member, do they have a duty at home? So again, allowing them to see that it is their responsibility to also take care of household chores, just like how we take care of household chores. Everybody has a responsibility as a family member, and helping them understand that keeping time aside for the family, for duties towards the family, duties towards self, and realizing that they have 2-3 roles to play. The most important role being of a student, being a friend, and being also a family member. So when all the 3 roles are balanced and activities are set aside for each role, pretty much they will be able to navigate how they use the device wisely.
Miss Hema has raised the hand. Naveen, can you allow her to speak? Okay, meantime, Hema, I have a small suggestion to all the parents who are already active in this chat. One, make a special date. You say that you don't have date on a day-to-day basis, but you can always make a special date with the children just for them. Make a date just for them. Spend few minutes talking about their day before you go to bed, which is possible anytime. And let them teach you something they are really excited about. The children can teach parents something really excited about. The children learn something from the school. They have some qualities. Let them teach you something they are really excited about you. Laugh at their job, even if it is very silly. Please laugh at their joke, even it is very silly. Let them overhear you telling someone how proud you are of them. That is something really appreciated. You can make the children very appreciative rather than appreciate them to someone about the child, and ask their opinion on something with some great decision you are making at your family. You can ask their opinion towards you. And third, to all mothers who are listening, you can always leave a I love you note in the lunch box. That is something really works. I still remember I really get overwhelmed. I used to get this from my mom when I was in my school. Whenever I open my lunch box, I always get this small little note, I love you. And it just makes a great impact on me. And my mom is a dementia patient today. She don't even remember my name. But it touches my heart. That is one of the memory I always have. I see at those times there were no thin films. So she used to find a way it does not get wet, and she always imbibed to write an I love you note. And I request all the mothers, you can leave an I love you note on a tin foil or something which you can leave on the lunch box. Will make your child very special to you. And Hima, if you can have any question, you can really talk and share your thought with us. I think not much more questions. Gunadeep, can we conclude the session? And we are actually 15 minutes or more than the topic is too good. So if you have any questions, please ask. We'll wait maybe 2 more minutes if anyone would like to ask any questions. So let me tell you, and all the parents who are from Kochi, you are feel free to visit us. You can meet. Our principal is happy to meet you in person, and you can spend good time with us. And we can also arrange a couple of people. We have good school counselors also with us. Please do visit Sanskara School. We are located in Infopark Phase 2. You can come experience. I think today our sports day is going on. Like Sir is saying, we are a school who promote all co-curricular activity very, very heavily. We have a sports department which has 13 coaches between us with all world-class infrastructure. I think we are one of the school has only a squash court in Kerala. No other one has a squash court in Kerala. We have 2 squash courts, centrally air conditioned. You can come play. It helps the children to compete against themselves. Even if they don't have an opponent, they can really play squash court at our place. And we have all other facilities along with us. We also have a visual and performing department which has a 7-member team who teaches Indian and Western music, who teaches Indian and Western dance. And we also have a wonderful art department who teaches clay modeling and different kind of activities related to arts. I'm sure we are going to have an art exhibition soon coming days. So all those facilities and things you can visit as experiences. We are located in Infopark Phase 2, and we are happy to welcome and see you and receiving in person. Please feel free to get in touch with us. Our email IDs will be shared to you, and come experience what we do inside our school. We are a school who believes in a different school of thought, and we promote not only academics, we promote extracurricular activity or a co-curricular activity. We also give a wonderful career counseling to your children. And thank you to everyone who has participated till now. And we are still 21 people active in our webinar. Thank you very much. Thank you, Cbse team, to really organize this. Thank you, Gunadeep, with this wonderful thought process. And thank you very much to all expert speakers who has come, Dr. Meera, Dr. Sonam, Dr. Prabhu. Thank you very much for being here. Gunadeep, thank you very much. It was a wonderful.
Thank you very much. Thank you all.
And let me also announce we will be coming with a lot of knowledge series like this. Keep beaming with us. Like our Instagram and social media pages. All updates will be appeared over there. And with all email IDs, all the suggestions, we will also send this Q&A questions. We will type and send it to all the parents who had attended this session. So thank you very much. And it was a wonderful session. Once again, thank you to all the people who has been participated, as well as to all the expert speakers. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, Swami, sir, for a wonderful principle. You have been a guiding force and supporting us very strongly for such initiatives to educate parents too along with our children. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, Gunadeep.
Thank you all. Thank you. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have a wonderful weekend. Thank
for
you.
this opportunity.
Thank you all. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Uh,